Greetings everyone, this is Alt Lexington on the 19th of October 2020. It's a Monday, about 7:15 PM. Look what I have today. I wanted to show off my fleet exploration cruiser, Galaxy class. It's a real Space Barbie, as they say. A beauty. First things first though, I'd like to apologise for not making too many build videos recently, but that's because I've started doing a lot of streaming on Twitch. But I do intend to get back to making build videos because I just enjoy putting my game out there and showing you what I've got, and seeing if you like it and get anything from these videos. So I do intend to make more build videos, but I just got caught up in my Twitch stream for a little while. But more videos are to come, more of these build type videos, just for YouTube. So I'm not streaming at the moment, but you probably noticed that I am using different software to do these videos with. The same software I do with my streaming. If you're interested in my streaming, because I live in the UK, I go by British time, and it's 10 AM till 2 PM Monday to Friday on Twitch, and it's always Star Trek Online, and usually my streams last a bit longer than the 4 hours they're scheduled for. Anyway, let's get into this ship and its build. It's not a super powerful DPS ship or anything, it's a Space Barbie. And I wanted to build it kind of theme-like for a Galaxy class, in appearance at least. Well, let's get into the build. You may also notice that I've shrunk down the size of my user interface for this game, the HUD, because it allows for a larger picture to be seen on the screen without covering as much up. Shut chat down for now. So the build is we've got a Terran Task Force phaser array from the Terran Reputation. Normally you'd get a disruptor array unless you unlock tier 6, then you get an alternative to that weapon, which is the phaser array. And it increases damage as the enemy's hull depletes. I'm also using agony phasers. I believe they're lockbox weapons, because the ones from the Terran Reputation are withering disruptors. But these are agony phasers because I wanted phasers on this ship. I've also got the agony phaser energy torpedo, which is basically a giant phaser cannon that's called a torpedo. A torpedo that does phaser damage just like a plasma torpedo does plasma damage. more agony phaser beam arrays on the back. And I've got 2 omnis on the back. I've got a standard omnidirectional phaser beam array, craftable, because I haven't got an agony omnidirectional. I've also got the trilithium enhanced omnidirectional beam array. I believe it's an episode reward. Let me just find that episode so I can be sure what it is. Beyond the Nexus with Geordie LaForge. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Actually, we'll do it now. It's paired with its console from the same episode. The engineering console reinforced armaments. The console I've got for hull healing and hit points. But if we go into more details, you can see it increases my firing cycle haste and flight speed. And you need to increase your flight speed on a Galaxy class because it's a big cruiser. But mostly for the firing cycle haste from the 2-piece bonus. I've got the Elite Intervention Protomatter Deflector Array from the Fleet Holding Draenor Colony, because it increases critical severity and critical chance, as you can see at the bottom of the description there. Plus 15 critical severity based on hull percentage, plus 4% critical chance based on hull percentage. I've also put in the Colony Deflector from the same colony, Elite Fleet Isolated Protomatter Warp Core. Sorry, the Fleet Warp Core. Did I say Deflector? It's just a nice warp core and I needed to put something in. Normally I'd go with the Terran Deflector and Warp Core for the 2-piece clicky of survival, but I wanted to use the Colony Deflector because of its crits and I needed a warp core, and this is a good solid warp core. Because the Terran warp core on its own would be just as good, but you don't get the bonus from it, so you can go with any other core that's a good solid core. Nukara Impulse Engines and Nukara Reputation Shield, because of the 2-piece bonus that gives you 5% bonus weapon damage. So I get firing cycle haste from the 2-piece of the Trilithium, Omni and Console, and so that's firing haste, and bonus 5% bonus weapon damage from the 2-piece Nukara. And I need bonus damage on this ship because I'm not using vulnerability locators, or what are the other ones that give severity? Vulnerability exploiters. I'm not using them for reasons that we'll get into, because I wanted to use the free consoles that belong on the Galaxy class and limited space, so I needed to add in more firepower to make up for the lack of those things, those vulnerability locators. Going on with adding more firepower, I've got the Universal Console Domino. I believe it's from the Bajoran Interceptor. which increase firing cycle haste, but it has a passive that increases phaser damage by 15%, but also has a clicky that increases firing haste. And I've got the Approaching Agony Universal Console that adds 10% phaser damage. But it also has a clicky that fires a burst of agony at an enemy ship that turns into a field. That when it hits the enemy ship, it turns into a field of agony. Kind of like an agony booth for a ship. So this increases phaser damage passively. So Approaching Agony increases phaser damage passively. Domino also passively increases it. I've got my survival here. And firing cycle haste. For turn rate and speed, because cruisers are bricks normally. Also for crits. This is for survival and crit severity. Tachyokinetic converter comes from the Lobby store, and so does bioneural infusion circuits. I believe they are both universal consoles. We've got the universal quantum phase converter. We're not using the quantum phase beam array or torpedo because I wanted my torpedoes and phasers to remain the proper colour for a Space Barbie, and the quantum phase beam array is blue. So I'm not using those, I'm just using this console for its 26.3% phaser damage, and it's not bad with drains as well. Shield drains, shield hardness, shield drain resistance, sorry. Now I needed a lot of survival on this ship because it's big and slow, or it would be, but I think this build has worked out and made it a little faster. But for a lot of survival I've got a Lobby store console Bounty Hunter's Friend, which adds nearly 40% all damage resistance, energy damage resistance, and for even more survival I wanted to improve my drain resistance and ability to drain enemy shields. So I got Restorative Particle Focuser from the Delta Quadrant Research Lab, a fleet holding. For devices, Temporal Negotiator. So when my engineering team hull heal or my science team shield heal are in cooldown, all I have to do is hit Temporal Negotiator, and that will cut a certain amount off of the cooldown time, making them available quicker. So I'll have better hull healing, quicker access to my hull heal and shield heal in a desperate situation. It's kind of like a no crap button. Subspace field modulator, because I needed another device, and it's a sort of poor man's cloak, though you don't want to use it against the Vov's proton beam, because that's its Achilles heel. It will get you destroyed. Red matter capacitor for a power boost when I need it, to add more power when my powers are running low, but they shouldn't run that low because this console up here provides 70% power transfer rate. This is a drain X times 2 console. So you should only need one of these to increase your shield drains and drain resistance. I left an empty slot here because that would be where I'd put energy amplifier batteries from the beam, crafted in the Beam R&D school. I've also left a gap here on my keybind for them as well, for the clicky, so I can, every time I activate an energy amplifier battery, it would give me a weapon damage boost, but I'm not using them at the moment because I don't tend to like using consumables, being dependent on consumables for added damage. I'd rather just go without. But that is an option on this ship, or any ship for that matter. You can just, let me show you the batteries. Battery energy amplifier plus 20% bonus weapon damage for 20 seconds. And they'd be activated by their clicky that I'd put here on the keybind, so it would activate every time my keybind cycles. Every time I spam the space bar, it cycles through all the tools on my keybind, and each cycle it will activate one of those batteries, and they have a pretty quick cooldown, so you'll have almost constant uptime on them. Now the important stuff for the Space Barbie, the 3 consoles that are meant to go on a Galaxy class ship. Universal antimatter spread. I don't know if you've seen the Next Generation episode where they called the Best of Both Worlds. Well, that's what that console does. Let me move this over here, and we'll zoom out a bit and hit the clicky for that console. It's confused for the enemy. Has a 1-minute cooldown, but pushback area of effect, placate, confuse, debuff, added perception. So it's not a powerful tool. It gives the target a moment of confuse, which helps you with your survival. This, we have the molecular cohesion nullifier. That's quite powerful. Every 1 second, over 2,000 to 7,000 physical damage, depending on how many foes are within its influence. And plus 25 to 70 damage resistance for me, based on how many foes are within its range. Now if I push this over here, I can activate it, and this is the real Space Barbie tool. Any foes within this circle will suffer between 2,000 and 7,000 physical damage based on how many foes are in this circle. Starting at 2,000, more foes, more damage, up to 7,000 physical damage. So it turns my ship purple with a 2-minute cooldown. That's quite a powerful tool, but I don't tend to worry about whether foes are within its range or not, because I'm always flying about all over the place in this ship trying to broadside things or turn to get my torpedo strike. And finally, universal saucer separation. You've got to have that on a Space Barbie Galaxy. And if I click it, my saucer turns into a pet, and I'm flying the drive section. And the saucer's got not bad survival actually for a pet of that size. There goes the flying saucer off to probe the enemies. That's what flying saucers do. It's a UFO. Yeah. I'll just rejoin it for now. Now it flies off to disappear and then comes up and reconnects. You've got to have that on a Galaxy Space Barbie. It's also a 3-piece set, these 3 consoles. The 2-piece bonus is plus 10 all damage resistance rating, plus 2 flight turn rate, plus 10 engine power setting, which is good for a cruiser because you need turn rate and speed because cruisers are slow bricks normally, and damage resistance because if you're slow your defense rating is down, so you need to be able to resist more damage because you're an easier target. And the 3-piece bonus, 10% shield capacity and plus 10 shield regeneration. Reduces all energy damage to shields by 5%. So that's more. So the set is about survival mostly. The set is called Engineering Systems. Enhanced Engineering Systems. I'm also using the temporal gear just for their visuals. Temporal reputation. The shield is what gives this ship a nice bright looking hull, bright and bubbly like is supposed to be, like Star Trek is supposed to be, not dark and dystopian but bright and utopian. Bubbly. A happy view of the future, not a miserable one. The engine visuals, if I just fly forward a bit, it's just a nice little visual with this rainbowy effect on them. And this sparkly thing comes from atmospheric flight training, which is something you can buy at the Dyson Sphere Fleet Spire to help you fly within atmosphere of the Dyson Sphere. And the deflector for this sort of rainbowy effect on the deflector. Wish I could show it a bit better, but you can almost see it here in this bright light. And as you can see, my nacelles are a bit different in colour, but it's a Space Barbie and I'm allowed to take a little license with it. Just to personalise it to myself. I mean, the Galaxy class in this, by the time period this game is set in, is 40 years old. So it's understandable that it's been refitted a few times. Phasers have become agony phasers. My skills: tactical ultimate, heavy on engineering survival, which is hull regeneration, hull capacity and armor plating, plus whatever's left went into speed. So I have access to Focused Frenzy, which is the tactical ultimate ability. My primary specialization is Temporal Operative, which I believe would help the agony field. field. And the molecular cohesion nullifier. Actually, this is wrong. I forgot to change it, I believe. Oh, maybe not. Ah, my secondary belongs with this ship. It's command, because it is a command ship. So temporal operative increases exotics, and command, which I'm not using much of, but a little helps with the antimatter spread, the molecular cohesion, the agony field. I may have got my specializations wrong, but it still works. And for my tools, tactical team to keep my best shields between me and the enemy. To attack pattern beta to debuff the enemy's resistances, I believe. Fire at will, of course, so I can get those phaser beams flying in all directions at multiple enemies, and torpedo spread for the same reason, to put out a nice spread of torpedoes. Science team to heal my shields, hazard emitters to help heal my hull, though my primary hull heal would be engineering team. This is an engineering centric ship, so I have gone orcs to bat on it, because there's a lot of engineering on this ship, a lot of engineering stations. I've got reverse shield polarity. It's better than emergency powder shields, because emergency powder shields would share cooldown with emergency powder weapons, which means you'd only be able to use one of them at a time. Whereas if I change emergency powder shields to reverse shield polarity, then I'd get constant use of my emergency powder weapons without interrupting it. And plus emergency powder shield, reverse shield polarity tricks the enemy into charging your shield, so you don't have to use your ship's power to do it. Directed energy modulation, that belongs with a duty officer I'm using, that when I use it, it will reduce the amount of energy my weapons require, keeping my weapons strong. If you're using orcs to bat, you want 3 technician duty officers on your ship, because every time you use orcs to bat, those 3 technicians will each give you a chance to reduce recharge time for your emergency power to weapons, if memory serves. We'll look at it in a minute. I also wanted to put a command tool on here because this is a command ship, so I put Overwhelm Emitters. Although now looking at my build, I don't see where the clicky's gone. I think it was supposed to be here, that's why. Oh no, here it is, it's there. Overwhelm Emitters. Which is basically extra damage it turns my weapons into shield regeneration, 10% of my outgoing damage is shield regeneration, and also shield drain. So it's a drain resist, drain improving clicky that works for an entire team, I believe. Now I wonder why I've got intel here. Was I using intel instead of temporal operative before? Maybe, maybe not. I was using no, I wasn't using strategist. It's been a while since I've flown my main character because I've had a lot of alternates to level up. That's what my Twitch streaming was about. So perhaps the command should be the primary on this ship, and strategist should be my secondary, which is what I'm about to do. I'm going with command primary and strategist as secondary. Trying to think why I did the things that I did on this ship. No, we'll stick with what we have. Temporal primary and command secondary. Anyway, this officer, the two tactical officers, are superior Romulan operatives. We can look at one of them, Chekhov. And the reason they're superior Romulan operatives were chosen was because of their trait, 2% crit chance, 5% crit severity. My Nausicaan engineer. He was chosen because of his pirate trait, 1.5% bonus all damage. Improves my weapons. Holographic Lieutenant Ahura as my other engineer. She is a human, obviously. And you just find her so we can see her trait. There she is. She has leadership like all humans, plus 3% whole regeneration. While in combat and 5% while out of combat, plus 20% resistance to the duration of subsystems going offline if you're hit by a debuff. She's also got Technician as well, which adds 5% weapon damage and 5% kinetic training, weapon training and kinetic training. Now that I think about it, I am going to change my specializations. Because for some reason I've got the Intel tool here, which may mean that I went with Intel for a reason. I don't see why though. Let's just have a quick look. That increases your defense rating. I don't know why I would go with temporal operative, because the exotics aren't so important on this ship. It's built as a cruiser. So I believe I should go command primary. Intel secondary. That will give me access to this clicky. And you get diversionary tactics anyway, I believe. We'll see in combat. For traits, pretty standard. I went with superior beam training, which is just beam training, but the superior version that you get from the K-13 fleet holding. It's the same as beam training, except the superior version. Beam barrage from when you reach level 15 in your beam R&D school. Self-modulating fire for shield penetration. Torpedo training, projectile training. And kinetic precision from when you get your projectiles R&D school to level 15. Nadion inversion, which is an engineering, which helps an engineering captain ability. Nadion inversion. Nadion inversion makes your weapons consume less energy, so they will stay strong for longer. And Nadion inversion increases the damage your weapons will do. Make my hull strong. Bulkhead technician. Make my shield strong. Shield technician. And because I'm an engineer, grace under fire, which will allow me to use the engineering captain ability miraculous repairs more often. Starship traits, we've got emergency weapons cycle from the Arbiter battle cruiser, which adds firing cycle haste, speeds up my weapon shots. Pedal to the metal from the Presidio tactical command cruiser, which if I remain at full impulse I get extra damage. It's similar to anchored, but with anchored you stay still. With this one you stay at full speed, and it increases your weapon damage. Supremacy from the Vardwar Astica, a Lobby Store ship. When you're using fire at will, you get additional power for your subsystems to keep your subsystems from draining. Supercharged weapons, I believe that comes from one of the Odyssey starships. So every time I fire a torpedo, my beams get stronger. And explosive polarity shift, that comes with this ship from the ship's mastery. And when I use reverse shield polarity, when it expires explosively, putting out a burst of energy that does kinetic damage to nearby foes. For space reputation traits, they're all from tier 6 reputations, because I've unlocked tier 6 on all of them. Advanced targeting systems for critical severity. precision for critical chance, magnified firepower for just bonus standard weapon damage, tactical advantage to increase weapon penetration, and advanced hull reinforcements to increase my resistance to damage. And the active traits, that's the big green bubble your ship can put out that will heal you if you stay within it or very close to it. It will keep you alive, and any other team member who enters it. Anti-time entanglement singularity, that's what you normally wrap around a gravity well if you had one, which this ship doesn't have, but it's still a good tool. Sensor interference platform, which is a good decoy. Quantum singularity manipulation, which is a kind of poor man's cloak. Refracting Tetrion Cascade, which puts out a lightning strike of Tetrion damage that chains to 2 other targets next to your primary target. And now we're on to duty officers. Of course, in my active ground slot, I've got Neo Falconer for double damage versus Borg. For my active space, I have I believe that's a Talaxian. %4 chance plus 1 critical chance buff to self for 10 seconds. So she improves my critical chance. I've got my hierarchy officer that improves critical severity. He's very expensive on the exchange. I've got my Crenum that works with directed energy modulation to allow my weapons to be more energy efficient so they can get more shots per the amount of energy that's in the system. And 3 technicians for my Orcs to Bat, which reduces recharge time for all bridge officer abilities whenever you use auxiliary to emergency battery. That's why I have on my keybind emergency power to weapons, which clicks before Fire at Will kicks in, making Fire at Will strong. Gives me added drains and drain resistance, debuffs the enemy, smacks them with torpedoes, adds to the endurance of my weapons, keeps my good shields between me and the enemy, and reduces cooldowns. Keeps me alive, and the engineering tool, which just boosts everything. That's my keybind. They all activate on a cycle every time I hit the spacebar. My endeavours, got to add this these days. I've got all the space ones maxed out. Every single space one. If we remove ground, you can see that all the space ones have been done. Plus my endeavour level is 384. One moment, I just want to check. No, it's alright, it's alright. This ship's mastery, because it's a fleet ship, the trait didn't come from this ship itself, it came from its sea store counterpart version. The standard exploration cruiser rather than the fleet exploration cruiser. The fleet exploration cruiser gives you an extra slot. I believe it's an extra engineering slot, but I can't be certain. Extra console slot. I would have guessed it was an extra science slot actually, but I can't be certain. The mastery gives you damage resistance, hull regeneration, more damage resistance, and more hit points. It's also a command ship, so it has the command functions. I normally just go with the weapon one because this ship doesn't really have much problem surviving. Not usually. My power systems, 118 over 100. Is that 67 over 15? For shields, for engines. 48 over 15, and for auxiliary 89 over 70. Let me just have a look at that approaching agony. Ah, that's why I went with temporal operative, because of approaching agony, so it does more damage. And it probably helps out my agony weapons as well. So let's change that again. We'll go to temporal operative primary, which is what I had to begin with, and commander secondary. I believe I made that change because I realised that approaching agony is improved by exotics, and temporal operative adds to your exotics, and so does auxiliary. Exotics are dependent on auxiliary, that's why I put auxiliary high. That's why I made that change, otherwise I would have had auxiliary low and shields and engines high instead. Just make sure that's right, yep. As you can see, it's been a long time since I've flown my main character. Now, as for the weapons, the Terran Task Force, 1800 phaser damage. Damage dealt increases as target's hull decreases up to 200% damage at 25% hull. So the faster the enemy dies, the more this weapon will kill them. 1700 on the agony phases. The agony torpedo, 8300 phaser damage. The standard omnidirectional beam array, 1600, and the trilithium beam array, also 1600. So that's the ship. Let's do some patrols. Enough with talking about the ship's build. I don't know what you want to see. You want to see me in battle with this. So we'll be on advanced difficulty. We'll do a couple of patrols, and then we'll do a TFO. We'll start with an Argala system. So we will exit the Janolan Dyson sphere, which is where I'm located. Actually, you can see that rainbow effect better from the deflector here. Argala system. Why am I turning the wrong way? No point doing slipstream because we're pretty close to the system. So, Argala system. Let's help out them Benthans. I noticed on my lower characters, my non-mains, playing this on normal difficulty, the Benthans can actually complete the system by themselves with you just sitting here watching. But as you can see, this is advanced difficulty, so that won't happen. That blue line comes from my command specialization. It's putting command stuff on the enemy, there it is. You know, I forgot to show the stats. We'll do that in a moment. When things settle. Let's just park here for now.
An area controlled by the Benthan Guard. Our scans indicate your ship is armed and operational. You are now my deputy. Looks like our fight got them to notice us. Let's go over and ask if their boss might come out of hiding.
Let's look at the stats. Wait for the numbers to cool off and settle down. Nearly 130 hull, 600 shield regeneration. That's low because my fleet isn't got the combat boost on. I don't keep that going. Not enough people interested in it to waste that kind of resources on getting that project going. 14 shields, 50 damage resistance, crits, 25% crit chance, 164 crit severity, drains 126, speed 50, wow, 56 flight speed and 8.7 turn rate. Maybe that's because I'm here in Argala. But we can't let the Kazon survive. Let's add in some firing cycle haste from Domino. Well, I was trying to line up my agony torpedoes, but I think I already fired them.
Keep concentrating fire on individual ships. Separate them and whittle down their numbers.
I'm not doing a very good job of making this look like the Space Barbie it actually is. Right, there's a big ship. We can do a... Oh, it's Erosion. I thought I was fighting Kazon. Oh, he science whammied me, that Erosion. Wait for the science team and unwhammy. I want to give him agony field. There it goes. And now he's in blissful agony. My hull went down a bit, but I was trying to show off the agony field, so I wasn't paying attention to the hull. It's more important to show off the ship than survive.
You will stand down and surrender to the Benton Guard.
That agony
Sensors
field
are picking
really
up small
reduced those
habitations
two
in
big
some of the
ships.
asteroids, possibly consistent
Reduced
with
their
bolt holes,
resistances.
temporary hideouts.
Made them suffer. See if we can confuse this guy. We'll get a few shots in first. And then antimatter spread. And he science whammied me. But it looks like I've got a good old science whammy on him as well. Add in some haste. Erosion love to science whammy you. I'm not getting bad numbers.
We do what we want, where we want.
Right. I've got reverse shield plough on. Hopefully they won't die before it... There it goes. Explosive polarity shift. From these... Trait from this ship. This ship's C-Store counterpart. This is me thinking I'm fighting Kazon when it's actually Erosion. Right, let's give this one a molecular cohesion nullifier. And he's science whammied me. Unscience whammy, target him again. He's still within my molecular nullifier. Confuse him a little, which broke his track beam. And give him some agony. And more firing cycle haste, because I think he's a boss. Yeah, he is, because he didn't die, he was protected by plot armor.
Excellent work. We'll send over a pacification party.
Done?
Take the suspect into custody.
I love a
Thank you
good
for your
Space
assistance,
Barbie.
and welcome to this sector.
Not before loot. So that was our Gala system. It was nice and easy. I was able to show off this ship a little, letting my hull and shields go right down without having to worry too much. My hull went down to just under 50%, I believe, and my shields were almost non-existent at one point, but it was more about not caring about that because I wanted to show off what the ship could do.
Thank you for your
Anyway,
assistance.
depart the system and do another patrol.
We have the suspect in custody.
There's one in the patrol list that I like to do, if I can find it. There it is, Blockade Runner in the Zala system. Let's see if we can travel there the old-fashioned way, because I know it's in the Delta Quadrant. Let me see if I can spot the Zala system. There it is. Opposite the Dyson Sphere. The Janolan Dyson Sphere. So no point putting on Slipstream. I've grown fond of this patrol for Space Barbies because it's just a good looking map. And you can die in the end fight against the Firewall Asticas. Let's save this pretty girl's people. Activate the satellite.
We're reading your beacon signal now.
And now we have to avoid artillery while fighting the enemy.
Our ships are about to break through.
And hopefully get a damage control team beamed over to a friendly ship.
Both forces have followed greater vessels to this system.
Beautiful
This
system.
is now an active combat zone. Any ships that do not leave will be targeted.
Focus on the Vaadwaur. If they're gone, the Voss should look warning.
There's no problem avoiding the artillery in this ship at full impulse. Gold torpedoes with gold phaser beams. See, speed and turn rate aren't half bad for a cruiser. I would like its turning circle to be a little smaller, but you can't have everything. And nor should you. It's already easy enough.
Warning. Artillery incoming. Execute. Warning. Artillery incoming.
Double artillery. Let's see if we can get close enough to beam in the engineering team to help that ship out. There we go.
Thanks for the assist.
And now do it again for this ship.
Warning. Artillery incoming. Execute. Warning.
That molecular cohesion nullifier really makes my ship blow up nice and pink to match this system. Let's give that big one an agony field. There it goes. Boom. He's in pain now. It'll probably kill him all by itself. So they've got the engineering team in that ship, I believe, or did I miss that? Yeah, I still need to put the engineering team down there. Just want to have a quick look at my
Warning.
specializations because I'm
Artillery
getting nervous
incoming.
about all the
Engines are
changes I
online.
made.
We're getting out of here.
Yep, they're still what I had. What I originally had. Well, those ones died quick. I think my molecular... Was that even on?
Warning. Artillery incoming. Exit area immediately.
Should not have stopped. But this ship has no trouble escaping those
Warning.
artilleries.
Artillery incoming. Exit area immediately.
That's all of the stragglers. If you rejoin the fleet, we can make our escape.
Warning. Artillery incoming. Exit area immediately. Warning. Artillery incoming.
Let's go to the
Exit
final
area
fight.
immediately.
Maybe I should get there a little faster. Badwa Astica will give you science magic.
Protect our fleet so we can escape.
Put the science whammy on you so you won't be able to see them. Confuse him before Saucer Set, give him agony while I'm at it. Firing cycle haste. And the Astica's down. That was quicker than expected. I thought he didn't get a chance to put his science whammy on me. I think it's either jam sensors he's doing to me, or was it scramble sensors? I think that's what I'm referring to when I say science
You're a
whammy.
real lifesaver. Our evacuation ships are safely on their way. We even managed to get away with some critical supplies.
That end battle
Thank
seems
you.
easier than I remember. There goes my flying saucer. Beats the hell out of the Nukari Nakan, is it? Nahan? Come back, saucer. I need my cup of tea. With my saucer. Hope you brought the biscuits.
Once we've regrouped,
I just want to clear my loot out before I do a TFO. Won't take a moment. we go. We saved the Kremlin. Let's hope it wasn't the Imperium. Now let's do a Kittimer Vortex. Shall we, or shall we do something different? I think... to be honest, I don't really want to do a Borg one right now, but I'll do that afterwards. Let's do a Swarm. We might have to wait a few moments for this to queue up, but it's better than queuing for a random that will probably end up on ground. But Swarm doesn't normally take too long to pop. As I was just lighting up a smoke, it pops. Nice.
The Herc are about to overrun this planet, and time is a factor. Several Jem'Hadar ships have been disabled by the Herc.
Not that one.
Power boost to bring them back online. Be wary.
Jem'Hadar, Defiant. That looks like a Gagarin, but I could be wrong. And I don't see another ship. Must be there. Ah, yes, another Jem'Hadar. Space Barbie in the house. I better put on team chat just in case somebody wants to say something. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Nah. Somebody else is using the explosive polarity trait. It's like the great bird of the galaxy. I should say, I don't claim to be an expert ship builder or anything. I'm just showing people what I'm enjoying at the moment. This is my take on of my interpretation of what Space Barbieing is. I'm sure other people have other interpretations of it, but this is what I'm enjoying, and I share it with you in the hope you get something out of it.
Well done. The Jem'Hadar.
Hope it gives you ideas on what to do with your own ships. Gives you a starting point.
The satellite is back online. We'll launch tractor mines against the Herc.
Given him his agony field, and he loves it. Probably because he's a masochist. He loved it so much he ran away from me. Somebody else has got agony field, is it? That can't be mine. I don't know why I'm collecting loot. been playing a lot of alternate characters lately that need loot, but this guy doesn't, but it just became autopilot to collect loot. Almost as autopilot as spacebar spamming. God, that Kobayashi Maru is loud and annoying.
Protect the refugee ships.
Gives good buffs though. I like to stay in the middle these days. I believe separating the source increases my damage and speed at the cost of survival. So I won't do that just yet, because it halves my Space Barbie appearance. Just looks better with the saucer attached.
Refugee ships heading down escape route Alpha. Protect them.
A lot of good drift on this ship. Normally I don't like drift on a ship, inertia. But on this thing it seems to be a benefit.
Herc Dreadnought on sensors. Be careful.
Uh-oh, it's the Hive.
Herc ship spotted at escape route Gamma. Get over there.
Give him some anti-time. Oh, they pushed me out of his range and denied me the first shot, but I got some good shots in before that. So I'm good. I'm happy. Well, my lane is not in trouble at the moment, so I'll see if I've got time to slowly get over here. Too slow.
Head to escape route Beta. Protect the refugee.
Yeah, as soon as I fly away from my lane, Odo says, "Go back!" There's Space Barbie in full action. Nah, this ain't a Space Barbie, this is a Space Ken. Too much strength for a Barbie. But still, the Enterprise is a lady, you treat her like that and she'll always bring you home. So, Barbie, not Ken. Definitely not G.I. Joe.
All lanes will be utilized now.
I think you can tell I'm enjoying it. Because I'm not making sense, I'm talking nonsense. That's what happens when I get into the game. You're free, little freighters, you're free. Little transports. Carrying liquid people.
Head to escape escape route Beta. Protect the
I'm already here,
Third
dude.
ship spotted at escape route Gamma. Get over there.
Have some agony. Let's do a saucer set. We've got to do it at one point. Good night. Good night, Herc. Stick to your small ships. They're more effective.
Refugee ships heading down escape route Alpha. Protect them.
Much faster without the saucer. Much more manoeuvrable. In fact, without the saucer, it's like it's going crazy. In a good way.
Third ship spotted at escape route Gamma. Get over there.
Who needs shields when you got hung? Even my saucer seems to be going nuts.
Head to escape route Beta. Protect the refugee ships.
Hello, saucer. Shake hands. Nice close flyby. Wrong time to press the tab key.
Refugee ships heading down escape route Alpha. Protect them.
Bet you wish you could do this, Captain Picard.
That's everyone.
But you didn't have a modified galaxy.
Focus their next strikes on an uninhabited world.
Come back, saucer section. Oh, he's still alive. Clunk, clunk, clunk. That was a perfect manual docking, Commander Riker. Now it's time for the obligatory DPS ISA run. Let's go back into the Janolan Sphere. We're not going to wedge the door open with our shields because somebody's already been there and done that. I think you know who. My favourite character did it, Scotty. Okay, let's get stationary. Yeah, I do have over 50 resistances. And my flight speed is over 50. Interesting. Bit much if you ask me. That's probably another reason why I put the engines right down to hardly anything. Anyway, for the ISA run, I've got to put on the energy amplifiers, I think. Got a nice stack of 20 of them there. And I better check the tools to make sure that it's gonna go in the right place. Yep, they've gone in the wrong place. Those energy amplifiers, if you go to your R&D, beam scroll down, you can craft them here. And they're not that pricey, so you can just craft them and use them like candy. Like popping sweets. Come on, click. There we go. Now I'll just make a save for them. I generally like to save things a couple of times because I don't trust loadout slots, since they're always saying unsaved changes. Now, I forgot to activate my combat meter, so I'll bring it up now. I should have activated that before the stream. Sorry, before the video. And that's not from this ship, I don't think. And I'll clean the log. Yeah, that was my Romulan. Anyway, what have we got the phasers doing at the moment? We've got them 1700. Nope. Wait a minute. 1793. Adding an energy amplifier, and we've got 2083. Adding emergency power to weapons, and we've got 2452. So it goes up. Energy, these batteries increase your damage by 200, my damage by 200, and emergency power to weapons by 400, so that's a total of 600. Now, I usually expect about 40k from this ship. If I get 50, I'm really happy, but with energy amplifiers on board, I should be able to get a 50k run, unless, of course, there's a big DPSer in there sucking up all the DPS, but that's fine. So we activate the combat log, or get it ready to activate. I'll be happy if I can breach 50k. With a Space Barbie and no Van locators. So let's queue for ISA, not ISE. I'm not crazy enough to do Elite. Infected the Conduit Advanced. There's no point in lighting a smoke because this one pops all the time, round the clock, non-stop. But I'm going to try anyway. Get a few puffs of smoke. No! Close that. Accept the ISA. I don't know if last time I made a proper video like this, I think it was before the ISAs were redesigned. I can't quite remember though. It was a while back. Oh, it's obviously taken a moment to assemble the team and load the map. Here we go.
The situation is
Shut up, you Klingon.
Begin by just
Klingon stink. Activate combat beta. It's quite possible this ship could blow up. It's not very good shielding. And if I run out of heals, I'm screwed. Especially if I can't cut their cooldowns down and reactivate them.
scanning the nanite transformer. Done. Additional data is available.
This all go weapons. You rest what else your own work. We assimilating our culture and technology.
Whoa, I wish I had more speed now. Come on, target it. There we go. I think every member of this team is a spacebar spammer because I'm getting a lot of missed clicks. The server is probably having trouble keeping up. And I'm probably the worst of all the spacebar spammers in this game. Source accept just because we can. Whoops, I should not have hit anti-time then, but I was getting a bit nervous.
Your defensive capabilities are able to defend us before your shields and elite assimilation.
Wow, I had to hit that about 5 times to get it to target the generator. Waltzing across the top of the Borg transport gate. Not supposed to be able to do that in Star Trek. Unless you're Captain Janeway. From the gate's tractor beam to the cube's tractor beam, give him an agony field and let him suffer. I put out the bubble for myself, but also mostly for other team members because I sort of needed it, but not quite. Quick, get away before you blow up and deactivate the combat meter / com.
Sensors confirm that the
That
transport
log.
conduit has been destroyed.
0.
However, our scans of the
Done.
starbase are still being
Ooh,
disrupted.
I'm lucky I survived.
We will need to
Well,
send an
not
away
lucky,
team there to
That was about average, actually. In fact, I don't think there was a big DPSer in there sucking DPS up, which was good. Means we get a more accurate pass. Saucer, are you still alive somewhere? I'm going to hunt for it because I'm curious. I reckon it's probably burning in space somewhere. Might as well pick up loot while I'm at it. I'll show you the pass once I'm out of the map. Where is my saucer? Did they run and hide? Did they do a USS Cerritos and run and hide because it was Borg? Nope, that looks like them there. Yep, they're burning in space. But they're not dead. They just got a big fire. Gotta get that loot. Especially the blue one. And then salvage it, even though it was a disruptor induction coil, I believe. Come back, Saucer. We forgive you for getting blasted. At least you took the hit for me. And you're all repaired suddenly. That was good. That was miraculous. Without miraculous repairs. Right. Time to look at the pass. It's always nerve-wracking doing this on video. Could be very embarrassing below 20k. But I'd be fine with that because the ship survived and looked good doing it. So bring up the combat log, press the analyze button and wait for the result. Holy crap! That's me, second one. The top guy did 131, I did 65.23k, so yeah! So without energy amplifiers, this ship is capable of about 40k, and sometimes I get lucky for a 50k. And I'm happy with 50k, even with energy amplifiers, but here, 65k, makes me go woohoo, quite frankly. Now let's go deeper. Combat lasted for not quite 3 minutes. The amount of damage I did was more than 20%, which is what each team member should do to carry their weight, unless they've got a tank, of course, then it's 25% each. And I did 26% damage, so more than my share of the damage against the enemy. Criticals 35.73%, that's much more than I usually get. Attacks in 28%, same as the top guy. But there was another guy who did 20k but got more attacks in. But he also died once. So he might have been a budget tank, I would guess. Very budget. I don't recognise the name of the guy who did that 130k. I'm the green line. Nice steady power, and it just slightly climbed a little towards the end. Well, all throughout the match, basically. wasn't getting much spike damage, but I was pretty consistent with the damage I was getting, the crits I was getting. Max 1 hit of 50,000. Target debuff 100%. Crit hit rate 100%. Crit chance rate 35. 10 kills. Phaser array, fire at will 21k, standard shots 11k, Terran task force 7k, standard 5 damage 5k, trilithium 5k, fire at will, pets free. Not bad at all. I'm really happy with that result. It was more than I expected, quite a bit more actually. So there you go, a 65k full-on Space Barbie with no vulnerability locators or exploiters. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been an hour 42 minutes, it's a longer one. But this ship deserves a little longer. And if you enjoyed this video, I hope you will hit that like button, that thumbs up, perhaps even subscribe if you haven't already. There's no cost for any of my videos, it's all free. It's just me one with a desire to share my favourite game. And if you want to see me stream, it's 10 AM till 2 PM, Monday to Friday, British time. But my streams usually go on for a bit longer after 2 PM if I'm in the mood. And I don't normally play my main character. I usually play other characters that I'm working on. And hopefully I can make some more videos just for my YouTube channel as well, because I've been distracted from doing that lately and I should get back to it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Live long and prosper. This is Alt Lexington saying bye.